Sometimes you have to produce the conversation in a way that people are going to be excited about and understand. That still goes with the relationship building and the soft skills and making people like understand why they're interested in it. So I feel like that's like I love the soft skills part of it because I think that goes so long. We can get so buried on the technical side and not understanding, like Jacob said, the empathy side of it as well, and it's like you can be so excited about something, represent something, drive it into the ground because you're so passionate about it. And I've done that. You know what I mean? So you have to really have that self-awareness when you are speaking about this kind of thing.
Welcome to the Construction Technology News of the Week with Katelyn Sanchez and Jacob Dalbora. From groundbreaking innovations to industry-shaking updates, this is your Construction Technology News of the Week. Join us with our guest of the week as we dig into the latest news shaping the future of construction. All right, Jacob, no lack of news out there these days. It's getting crazy. What do you got this week for us?
Yep, actually, and this is a little bit of pre-planned. If you listened to Tuesday's show, you heard Katelyn talk about SkillsUSA. So I went ahead and pulled one from fmpipeline.org. The Facilithon grows with Maine, Kentucky, and New Jersey. That is now 20 total states. So background on this. Facilithon is a high school competition to introduce facility management to high schoolers. They have now grown over the last 6 years, I believe, to 20 different states that do a statewide competition, and they do it through SkillsUSA. So, SkillsUSA, as Katelyn mentioned, is a trade-based competition to introduce trade and different crafts to the high school students, and then they go compete. We do have a guest champion on the podcast with us today, but they now added in Facilithon. So they do this facility management competition, which is something that's unheard of. People don't know how to get into facility management. They don't know what the actual industry is. So I've watched this company grow. I was on their advisory board when we first got started. I left when they had, I think, 5 or 6 states. And to see them now hit 20 states, I am just blown away. I love it. They are absolutely growing even further. And they just also announced a partnership with ASHI, the Healthcare Engineers Association. So in a world where facility management is having the same trouble as the construction industry, can't find the right people to come do the job, this is the way we kind of get to introduce it and keep going with it.
Are you trying to reach the innovators and decision makers in construction technology? Then look no further than sponsoring the ConTech Crew. That's right, we're taking new advertisers. Email us at advertising@thecontechcrew.com to learn more. I love it, man. It's a renaissance of bringing back sort of what Katelyn talked about on Tuesday's episode of, being a woodworker and getting exposed to different things. We're seeing growth in automotive. We're seeing growth in building trades in different colleges, different community colleges, so that you're not being taken away and putting a big amount of debt in front of you, and opening people up to pipelines for jobs. This has got to be something we're going to see as the data centers grow, as the EV factories grow, as the fulfillment centers grow that are automated, and we bring back manufacturing jobs here. There is a need for people to run and understand how those complicated facilities run. These are not like, hey, come, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it this way. This is not, hey, come be a janitor and sweep the floor. There's nothing wrong. Somebody's got to sweep the floor and somebody's got to empty the trash. But that is not what facilities management is. It is a skilled and sought after position. And it can, with the healthcare industry, we talked about this recently, Jacob, it can really be life or death. So it's a fantastic opportunity to see. And I'm interested, Katelyn, since you came up through the ranks and it exposed you to a lot, and now you're working on the owner side. How do you see the Facilithon, helping create a pipeline, but also encourage people to understand what's going on in this world?
Okay. So when Jacob first mentioned this and how they brought this in with Skills USA, it gets me so excited because they're adding different types of trades and competitions all the time to Skills USA. And so to know that they're bringing in the facility management side, it's like a bomb went off in my head because I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like, the opportunities are endless," and especially with the technology that's moving forward and all the different opportunities and all these like, there's data centers going up everywhere, and it's not just data centers, it's Intel, like, they've got their manufacturing plants are booming, and for it to, like, explode the way it is, and that gets Skills USA into another step forward on how to bring those trades to the forefront. That it's amazing to me. It gets me so excited because I think Skills USA is one of those organizations that is not known about enough, because anytime I've asked somebody like, "Have you ever heard of them?" And they're like, "No." And then so you explain to them like what's going on. So this article is incredible and it gives me high hopes for what's new and up and coming. It's just really neat. And I think it's going to be a huge factor because a lot of owners, they're like, "Oh, cool, digital twin. Let's get things moving." And then, they have the facility management side. Where do we go from here? You don't want the facility management teams to have to walk around with a set of drawings trying to figure out where things and items and equipment are at. And this type of effort and the way the technology is moving is amazing. So it's really cool. It gets me excited. Yay!
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, and I mean, I think the trades and construction has a little bit more of a grasp for people coming out of high school or coming out of a technical college of like how they could get into it. Facility management doesn't. They have a horrible time getting new people involved. And it's just because there is no tangible like, oh, that's what I go do. So really, I mean, besides making TikTok videos of what facility management is, there's no way to reach younger people. And I think this is amazing. They're finally reaching it. And then if you think 20 states, that's you are now grasping a lot of young high school people that are looking for jobs, that are looking for the next step. And it's just amazing to see. I love seeing the growth. I hope they keep accelerating and growing even further.
Well, we got to keep talking about them because I didn't know about it until Caitlin talked about it on the show. So now I got something to look at. What else you got for us, Jacob?
All right. Another one from Facilities Dive. This one's a deep dive. And really, we're still in the first quarter of 2025. So we've had, all these new technology articles come out of what should we look for in 2025. Um, the article is really good. I think there is, a lot of the big word buzzwords. It goes through, it talks about how AI is going to change and talks about sustainability and automation. They even mentioned digital twins. What I really liked about the article and reason I brought it here is in each of those sections, it actually gives some of the up and coming technology spots and it calls them out and says, hey, go look at this, which I really enjoy no matter how they came across it. But it gives us something tangible to go click on to and start understanding what's coming out. So under different things you can go find. I think there is one under sustainability that I actually or energy efficiency, the open blue guidance. And it's really made for facility improvements, building out on sustainability. So this is stuff that I think you really should go look at and really see because they will help power these next gen of facility manager. The problem is going to be who's ready for this technology and who's not. And how do we go convince the ones that are not that this is actually a good savings, a good yield? How do we do it?
Yeah, a couple things about it too. They do come back to over and over focusing on to get prepared for this future. You've got to get prepared for your data, and you've got to have the data to drive it. You got to have the connectivity. You've got to have the forethought to understand that none of this helps. AI can't do things with things it can't see and consume. So that's what we need, and that's what you need to do. And then there are lots of areas for this technology, and it, everybody needs AI to get people to look up the article these days, but a lot of this is going to go beyond AI. You don't need AI for basic automation of things to tell you what's going on. Sure, you can use AI to help you with predictive maintenance, but we've had, analytics around for years. We've had, machine learning around that can help you understand when things are going to need to be replaced. And you can manage through IoT how long has a chiller been running? How long has something been going since it's had its routine maintenance and get ahead of it? So, but AI brings a new look to it, and that helps us focus on it. And where you focus is where you make change. The other interesting one was the space optimization. We've seen this for a really long time with a bunch of different technologies on trying to drive utilization in efficient ways in buildings and in all types of facilities, to whether that's a rev gen. How do I spread people out in my theme park and get them to go to the restaurants where they're not waiting in line and I'm actually getting them through everything? Like, there are optimization opportunities here that I think we don't talk about enough, and I think facilities management can really talk about that. There's also the ability to shut down areas of your operations to save energy. There's a whole lot of opportunities for those types of change. So, I got to put the AI spin on it, but I think fundamentals are the key. So, Caitlin, what do you think about, all of this going into the facility side of things?
I mean, I agree. I mean, the word that keeps popping into my mind is adaptability. And I think just with the movement of technology and the way things are progressing, especially with I mean, AI is only as good, like you said, as the information you put in. So there still is that back end forefront where the human brain needs to produce and provide tangible input. And so with all of that, I mean, I definitely think I just where my brain goes, it's like, okay, like, so this is the next thing, this is moving forward. So being able to adapt to these changes and how to make them even better. Because there's obviously learning curves and there's going to be bumps in the road and there's going to be situations within this that's going to not work so well. So I do think that the movement is good, and I really agree to it, honestly.
And actually, got a great point there. Adaptability right now is something that's really big. Facility management software typically used to be enterprise, right? Man, they were looking at 20 years of using the same software. To go in and convince them to use a different software was big. They can't just up their asset management and put a new one in. They built their whole structure around it. So what we're starting to see though is that adaptability, being able to kind of start testing that next SaaS platform and then go back or do something different. I think you are going to see a lot more of like, hey, we're going to house our data in a data lake, and then we can, tie in what we need to tie in and test different platforms and not just be dedicated and pay, $10 million because we just bought 20 years of a facility management platform. It's just, it's a matter of now they're really starting to look at how do we make sure we're not tied in and we ensure value as we continue growing.
That's great. You need to be adaptable to the future. That's part of it. So, and it will change. We talked about that in the episode. Change is constant. That's all we got. Well, I'm going to take us back over to my world here. And I found this guy, Matt Watson, online, been following him for a little while, really digging what he's putting out. And he put out an article on LinkedIn that says, "Stop talking about tech stacks in executive meetings." This is a CTO focused article, Chief Technology Officer. I either want to see Matt write it as from the CIO's perspective, but if he doesn't, I'm definitely going to be talking about it a lot because it talks about the stages of evolution as you come up through your career. And he's taking it more from as the startup founder, being that technical focus and the founding engineer. So you're building it all, right? You're a lot of these CTOs started in their careers building things, being the one that's taking it from fruition and growing it. And then, you evolve into the expert, right? You're the technical authority still. You were building it before. Now you're the go-to person on making technical decisions, on understanding the tooling, etc. But then all of a sudden at stage 3, you're the managing CTO. You're building teams. You're focusing on the people. The products have grown beyond you. And quite frankly, because you're focused more on business, you're focused less on, what the new tooling is, what the best decisions can be. And you're having to trust your team, and that's really hard. And then you get to that executive CTO, and that's the strategist. And the interesting part about this is your teams grow, and you have to learn to change your language. You can't be coming out of technical talks and walking into an executive session and speaking that same language. You have to start speaking the language of the business. You have to use strategy language when it comes to the product. You have to use go to market language when it talks about what you're doing. And then ultimately the outcomes of the business itself. And for me, this plays really well into the evolution of the CTO and the CIO in the construction space. Many of our CTOs come from our BIM and VDC side of things, but ultimately they get to the boardroom and they're talking about VR and AR and reality capture and scanning and digital twins, and data twins and all this, and everybody glazes over. And unfortunately, we've seen that end in people being relegated to report to CFOs because nobody wants to listen to them anymore. So they give them to that person to talk to. So it's really important that you think about this as you grow in your career, because if the CFO walked into the room and discussed financial metrics, you can't, if they came in and talked fundamentals of accounting, you wouldn't listen to them either. If the marketing person talked about, you know, how you use UTMs and tracking and et cetera, you wouldn't care. You wouldn't want to listen. What you want to know is, where are we financially? Where are we from a sales and customer acquisition perspective? Marketing, how are we doing getting out and finding new projects and finding new markets to get into? And how are we positioning ourselves? And then, hey, CEO, how is that all lining up with the company vision? The CTOs and the CIOs need to get in line with that. So I know I got on my high horse there, but I think it's really important, Jacob.
I love it. This is fantastic. I mean, it's like, what are the soft skills for a CTO? And how do you grow into those soft skills? Because at certain points when you are starting, you do kind of have to be really technical with what you're doing and try and sell it. But when you get bigger into a company, you're right. You can't go in there and bore people to death around a product because you've gotten too detailed on what you're doing. You literally need to understand what is the most important information they need to know, and how do you put it in that context for them. So if they are a diagram person, if they are a numbers person, get it right. Or if they're a story person and they need to hear the story of what the outcome is and how that improves, you have to do it that way. You can't think that everybody's going to come in here with it. And I love the one of the phrases they have in the top here is dog with a bone syndrome. And it's something that a CTO usually you see is they will go to CFO and COO and CIO and beat them over and over with this. Like, we got to do it the right way. We got to do it this way. They don't understand. They don't know what VDI is. And they're sitting there going, what do you mean you can have a cloud computer? I just dated myself 20 years, by the way.
Yes, you did.
Uh, that was the CTO from 2005, but um, it's good. I love it because I love the soft skills. And then also it talks about the empathy at the bottom. It talks about how, what is our end user experiencing? Because now we need to fix that. And if we are building a product, we need to ensure that their experience is the best and not just, hey, we built the product, we checked the box, let's keep going.
Yeah, I mean, Katelyn, you've got to have come across this in your career where maybe we get too technical, we get too stuck on that, and people aren't understanding us. How have you seen good leaders, and how have you done this because you're speaking this language to people as well?
I mean, I still think so. First of all, when you're trying to explain to somebody what you're doing and they don't necessarily understand the software applicability of it. Um, I call it like our nerd world, right? So sometimes you have to produce the conversation in a way that people are going to be excited about and understand. That still goes with the relationship building and the soft skills and making people like understand why they're interested in it. So I feel like that's like, I love the soft skills part of it because I think that goes so long. We can get so buried on the technical side and not understanding, like Jacob said, the empathy side of it as well, and it's like you can be so excited about something, represent something, drive it into the ground because you're so passionate about it. And I've done that. You know what I mean? So you have to really have that self-awareness when you are speaking about this kind of thing, because not everyone's going to understand it the way you understand it. Not everyone's going to perceive it the way that you're trying to represent that information. And then also, it's just that self-aware. There's going to be a moment where you're doing these things and saying these things and trying to describe this stuff to the people who have the main process or money in hand, so it's just being self-aware and understanding what you're doing and what you're bringing to the table and understanding when you need to dial back.
Yeah, I think there's an interesting opportunity here too, because we like to relate these things to construction. And I've been talking about this for a long time since I got involved in the pre-construction space. Is you're an expert, whether you're a mechanical, whether you're a material supplier, you're an expert in that product, in that technique, in that um, discipline. When you're talking to someone across the table, an owner, a facilities manager, they are not an expert in all of that. So you have to find a way to communicate that expertise in a way they can consume it and then make a difficult decision based off of it, right? Like these are not easy decisions to make. And yes, we are the experts in these products or these processes or, these systems, but we don't know what their goals necessarily are, right? They have to take it through that lens and translate it and make a decision off of it. So I think this is great. And my other thing out there for everybody is when you're bringing people up through your BIM and VDC, through your IT departments, and you're moving them into leadership positions, understand that this is not an innate skill and people need to be taught it. They need to be given the room and the understanding that they need to learn it. If you wonder why they got in the room and said the wrong things, that's pretty much based on you. That's like sending somebody to that pre-con table who doesn't understand their client and then wondering and blaming them for that problem. No, we don't actually usually do that in the business. So it's no different here. And that goes to, I hate to say this because I used to give my friends in the industry a lot of junk about this, but that goes to creating job descriptions, creating what success looks like in each position, and really creating opportunities for training so people can reach these new parts and pieces of their career and grow into leadership roles. So that's my thought. Jacob, do you have a thought on that one?
Yeah, I got one last thought on this one too. Is I think if you look at BIM over the last 20 years, is a really good example of not to do. So the BIM people in firms sat there screaming, there's this value, and we're not capturing all the value. And they would get so frustrated that they would leave their companies, that they would start their own BIM firms. That's the typical story behind a lot of these people. But the problem is they saw the value, but couldn't articulate that value to everybody else. Now, there was quite a bit of the naysayers out there, but then there was quite a bit of people that would invest in innovation as long as they were presented the correct business plan, the correct, value proposition. It was very much oh, but BIM's so valuable. We could do so much with it. And it's like, well, what's the return? What is it that we can do? Well, we can make sheets faster. But no, like that's too technical. There is so much to it that these soft skills then turn around and start selling. And I love the article. Great find.
Thank you. Yeah, I will post it when the episode comes out. Y'all can check it out. I'm gonna go back and kind of connect back to the skills USA, et cetera, because I found this one on Emerging Tech Brew, and you guys know I'm always big on Tech Brew and Morning Brew and getting, that morning news that I've got to read. And this is how Veridi brings disadvantaged communities into the green economy. So Veridi is a renewable energy battery manufacturer, and they're teaching green skills in one of New York's most distressed communities. So East Buffalo, New York. Medium yearly income is just over $25,000. Two-thirds of the population lack a college degree, and the poverty rate's 39%. But battery manufacturer Veridi moved into the old General Motors factory and realized they needed a bigger local workforce and wanted to partner with the community to draw that out from the community itself and revitalize the community. And so they made a $500,000 investment into a nonprofit called Green Force, which trains East Buffalo residents in electronic proficiency and other battery manufacturing skills that help them assemble Veridia's lithium ion batteries. But it goes beyond that, right? You can't fix just that and expect this entire environment to change. So a lot of this money went to non-work related issues, which I actually think they are work related, but that's okay. It's like getting daycare, accessing transportation, acquiring adequate identification, and even raising money for employees amid family tragedies. There's also a piece of this where they've gone in and really helped out with inclusive hiring practices by recruiting 20% of its workforce and offering opportunities to formerly incarcerated individuals. This is a huge way because most of those incarcerated people, when they come out, go back to crime because they don't have an opportunity to grow in their skills and make money, right? You wonder why somebody comes back there. So it's a really comprehensive approach, and it's modernizing our workforce, and that's what we need. That training them in electronic battery proficiency is going to make them valuable in almost any of these new factories that we've been talking about, right? So we're going to need this. Just thought it'd be fun to bring since you guys had yours. What do you think, Jacob?
I love the good news article. I love seeing people look at a problem that they have and like this company and say, how can we also, as we solve this problem, leverage it and help solve other problems as well? And they really did. They looked at this town and said, that median salary range is awful. And how can we help improve them? How can we lift it all up? And they've done it. I mean, even to the point of actually helping them enroll in community colleges. It's fantastic. This has been a really cool read because the thought process behind it is one thing, but also the industry right now. If you try and go and find anybody in the electrical side of the industry, who you are paying top dollar for it because every single chip manufacturer or chip designer is paying top dollar for those electricals. This gives you a way to solve your problem as well as build this whole community up. Um, Love to see more of it. Hopefully, East Buffalo keeps looking at it and maybe they start investing some back into Green Force to help keep building it.
Katelyn, what are your thoughts?
I like it. It gives somebody an opportunity. It's just another one of those careers that's growing with the technology that wasn't there before. So it's giving the opportunity to move forward as well. There's a lot of situations where somebody makes a mistake. They unfortunately, have to deal with those consequences. When they do come out, there's nothing for them to move forward. So there's a lot of different types of opportunities available here. And so I think it's good. And I think Green Force is a good name for the new opportunity.
Yeah,
So
and something we didn't talk about, but it's evident, and it's evident in my career and in sort of some of the places I've lived over time, is that providing a thriving center, so one person in the family unit has stability and has a career, it allows for secondary opportunities in the economics, right? So one person's working for the plant, but another now is going to start a bakery. They're going to start a cleaner. They're going to start other businesses and create a thriving community. And that's how we revitalize. And what's cool about all these factories is they are having to go to rural areas that did have this stuff before and were decimated, and are now seeing the revitalization from a multi-economic factor. And I think we'll see new thriving communities from this, and a little bit more sustainability if we can spread this out a little bit, right? We had that push towards living in cities, and COVID sort of dispersed us a bit. And now this, kind of revolution in manufacturing and advanced manufacturing here in the United States is pushing the rural communities back to the top. So I love to see it. I hope they either grow nationally or spur others to do it, because it's a great way to go about it. And you're right. We need more electricals. We need more mechanicals. We need more plumbers. We need a lot of you out there. So we got to find as many ways as we can do it. So that was the news. That was the high horse. Katelyn, thank you for sticking around for the news and giving us your thoughts on it.
Absolutely. It was awesome to be a part of it. I love giving my opinion.
Well, can't wait to see you out there on stage somewhere giving your opinion. We can have some fun. Jacob, always great to see you, my man.
Enjoyed it, Jeff. Only till next time.
Until next time.
Thanks,
Right?
guys.
Thank you for tuning in today to Geek Out for the Construction Technology News of the Week with Katelyn Sanchez and Jacob Dalbora. To read all our news stories, learn more about our guests, and to listen to the show, visit thecontechcrew.com. This is the ConTech Crew signing out. Until next time, enjoy the ride and geek out.